Hey guys, this is Grant Sasher and Jace LeJeune of Gridiron Football here on another jam-packed day of state championship football here in Louisiana. Yesterday, Riverside and Southern Lab gave us a hell of a game, 42-35 for Southern Lab, and then the last game, of course, was Oak Grove and Haynesville. That was a doozy, 62-36. But today was a lot better up until the last day. Some great football. 3 games today, and we got 3 more games tomorrow, which is probably going to be.
It's the headline day.
That's gonna be the headline. That's
yeah.
gonna be that main course of jambalaya, gumbo, and any food you could think of. But but Jason, a lot of great matches. So, what are your overall thoughts about today?
Yeah, we started off really good, right? I mean, Opelousas-Cecilia, and my thoughts on that game was it was going to be a rematch, right?
Yeah.
These are 2 teams. Opelousas, they never won a state championship. Cecilia, they have won a state championship since 1995. So it's really good to see 2 new teams and not only two new teams, but 2 teams that know each other really well and don't really like each other.
Right.
So it was great seeing that matchup, and really that game was one in the trenches. Really saw the offensive line, saw both teams play, and really Cecilia, and that was a concern I had going to this matchup, was the size of Opelousas' offensive line. And really, if there was a game that the offensive line won a game, it was Opelousas over Cecilia.
We're going to get into all of that, but also want to add in the fact that we're glad to have St. James back in the state championship game, as well as Acadiana too.
Yeah.
So it was great to see those 2 power programs come back to the dome. But let's go to our first game. Just kind of introduced us a little bit. Was Opelousas-Cecilia. When I was pulling in, I got here kind of early. It was like 10:05, 10:10, and then there was a long line. I'm like, why is there a line? And then I started thinking to myself, well, Cecilia hasn't been here since 1995. They're probably bringing the whole lot.
No, they
cover
the whole lot.
And then Opelousas is going to show up because they've been giving us a lot of support through our articles and everything. A lot of high viewership on all of our articles involving any team from Opelousas. So I'm like, oh, there's going to be a lot of people from Opelousas. And then also St. James already had their people tailgating.
Oh yeah.
5-6 hours before the game even starts. I'm like, oh god. So I'm gonna be stuck here for a while. But we got here. Of course, I was right. Cecilia, they have a whole lot of people. Opelousas had a whole lot of people. So it meant a lot to both the communities and both high schools and both of the football programs. And like I said, Cecilia is the first time since 1995 that they've been in the state championship, which they won. It's the first time since 1956 for Opelousas.
That's right.
My grandfather was 16 years old, man. So that says a lot about how long ago that really was. But Opelousas came up on top 26-13. I actually predicted that. I was telling people all week that Opelousas was gonna be Cecilia. I thought Opelousas was gonna be. They're bigger than Cecilia in terms of the trenches, and then also they had a tougher road to get here, and and they had more talent, but also they had a tougher road to get here. Remember, they beat Lutcher, North DeSoto, and now Cecilia. And I believe they beat who was the 5th seed in this bracket? Do you happen to know?
The 5th seed. Oh, they beat West Feliciana.
West Feliciana. So they beat the 5 seed, the 4th seed, the 1 seed, and the 2 seed in 4 straight weeks. But leading up to this game, they beat the 5th ranked seed, the 5th ranked seed, the number 1 seed, the number 4 seed, and then the number 1 seed before the guy. So I thought there were a lot more battle tests than Cecilia. And Cecilia benefited from being the easier side of the bracket, and also Northwest being the Cinderella team. They didn't have to face Assumption or Wassman, so I think they just had a little bit tougher road. But I think they're a lot more talented. Deshaun Ford and Corey Amos, Zach Malvo is a pretty good athlete.
Yep. That was a very deceiving 12 seed, and we talked about it. This is a program just at the very start. We cover Opelousas. They won a 7-on-7 championship at the beginning of the year that we were part of at St. Edmund, and we covered that. And obviously, they went to our media day before the season started. Actually, it was funny. Both teams were there at our media day, Cecilia and Opelousas.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But the most confident team, and I told you this for a long time, that was there,
Right.
and that included Southern Lamb that also won a state championship.
Mhm.
It was Opelousas. So
Right.
Coach Zachary was really confident in his guys. They were really a high seed last year, if you recall. I think they were like number 2 seed, and they lost early in the playoffs. But
That's right, yeah.
this year, man, these guys, they had their eyes on the prize since the beginning. They said, our goal is the dome. Anything less than that is going to be a failure this season. So they really thought that in their eyes, and that's really amazing. I thought, okay, I knew this was a very talented team, but that's some lofty expectations. Just a couple of years ago, they were a winless program when Coach Zachary got here. So from worst to first, what a turnaround Coach Zachary has really done for this program.
Right, exactly. And, you know, Coach Zachary's a great coach, so I kind of expected them to kind of pull through. Now, they kind of, you know, they finished the regular season 7-3. I mean, kind of a disappointing finish for them because of all the high expectations they had coming in the year. But they really showed how good they really are when the playoffs happened, and they really, I mean, the last 3, besides North DeSoto, I mean, really, North DeSoto scored late.
Yeah.
But throughout the last 4 games, they've won by double digits.
Against really talented offenses.
Exactly.
North DeSoto, they held Diesel Solari, and that offense been averaging like 35 points per game, so only 13.
Like I said in the press conference, when I asked Coach Zachary about the defense, remember, going in this game, Cecilia scored 50 or more points in 4 out of their last 5 games, and they completely shut them down.
Yeah, I mean, very impressive, and I think the pictures in the article already are going viral because of Andy was taking photos of Deshaun Ford.
Yep.
And I mean that is a man. Yep, doing his Joe Burrow impersonation as well.
Yeah.
But Zacchaeus Malvo, I mean, he's a great athlete, and have those 2 guys complementing each other in the backfield. I mean, just pick your poison.
Yeah.
Do you go for Deshaun Ford? Or you try to defend the quarterback. So
Right.
And it's scary because both those players are coming back next year.
Exactly. And Diesel Solari, by the way, only had 37 rushing yards.
Yeah.
I think that when I was looking at the stat sheet, that was probably the most shocking thing. But also, speaking of Opelousas, they ran for almost 300 yards. Now, if you count the net without, you know, if you don't count the losses, they actually ran for over 300 yards.
The Trenches won in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you know, they're also led by Joe Milton, who's a bowl.
Yeah, he's going to play in our Gridiron Football American game. So it's good to see Joe have a great outing. And Jimmy Zachary, I asked him about the offensive line and how that was a big part in that game, and he said he named each one of those 5 starters.
Yep.
And it showed you that how really they were pretty much, even though Zacchaeus and Deshaun were the top 2 guys everybody's talking about, that offensive line won that game.
Right, and then also Deshaun Ford really had a coming out party. Yeah, he's been having a coming out party for a while. Last week it may have been his coming out party.
On a bigger stage.
North DeSoto is the number 1 seed. And they were for good reason. But then also he did in front of Sam Spiegelman. Von 3 was here. So, you know, so he saw a lot of Deshaun Ford, and even he was asking about Deshaun Ford too. So Deshaun, man, he's gonna rise up in the rankings in no time. He just got to keep working. Just got to keep working on his craft. Keep working on your speed. Anything that involves your game, you just got to keep working on.
There's no excuse for LSU to find one of these running backs.
Well, that's the problem. if they don't sign, because they might have signed the top 2 running backs of the state, which is Harlan Berry and James Simon, but.
You got other options.
Right, there's a lot of options.
One of them played earlier today.
A lot of options for the class of 25 in state Louisiana. Very stacked running back class out of the state. But moving on to our next game, probably the best game so far of the weekend, probably a lot of people's opinions. And now tomorrow, that may change tomorrow with all the great games we have tomorrow. But anyway,
as far as games I've covered, that's the top of my list.
Oh yeah. So so it was Union Parish and St. James. Union Parish, I mean, the big story was that this is a 4th straight title game, but they lost the previous 3. And Coach Spatafora for Union Parish, if he lost this game today, he would have been the only coach in Louisiana history to lose 4 straight title games.
And even though the Farmers have won a state championship in
2013, under Coach Spat, yeah.
Even though they won a state championship, people will be thinking that the Farmers or the Buffalo Bills of Louisiana high school football losing 4 straight. So this was big for them, and obviously we'll break down the game and talk about it. But gutsy, and that's exactly how Union Parish wants to play football.
Yeah, exactly. And Jamara Island, who was for most of the year was known as Trey Holly's replacement. Trey Holly,
Who's going to fill in the shoes of Trey Holly? Who's going to step up?
Yeah, and then he did. He rushed for over like 2,500 yards this season. But even with that stat line, he was so known as Trey Holly's replacement. Well, guess what? He has shown tonight that he's not Trey Holly's replacement. He's the guy that won Union Parish their first state championship in 10 years.
Yeah.
He scored Jamar Island rushed for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he scored the game-winning touchdown. It could have been the game-tying touchdown, but they got some gajonas on them, and they went for 2.
Yeah.
Even the quarterback, Jordan Hill. He was he told coach
I don't want to. Even down his coach.
He was I don't know. But then he started thinking about it. I was like, oh wait, you know what? Let's do it for my teammates. We were all confident. Let's go for it. And they ended up winning the game.
Whoa.
Trey Holly got them a 50-yard penalty. Ironically, we got some time off because LSU they're playing the bowl game January 1st against Wisconsin. That game's not gonna be a pretty sight. But yeah, Jace, what are your thoughts about this game? Briefly.
Just a lot. I'm going to try to wrap it up as quick as I can.
Yeah, that first game took a little while.
36, 35. But, Coach Spafford, what they want to do, they want to run the football. They want to win with their offensive line. They want to punch you in the mouth and say, hey, if we're going to win this game, get a 2-point conversion, let's punch them in the mouth. And that's what they did. And really, there was a lot of drama at the end. I mean, obviously, you had to go through a review. There were 2 timeouts as well that St. James called on defense. And like Coach Davis said, you're not going to take them with you, so might as well call them. But Coach Spafford still went with his gut, still to go for the 2-point conversion. And really, there was elaborate as well. The biggest play of the game besides that touchdown 2-point conversion was the interception by Jordan Hill right before halftime. Because if St. James scores and goes up by 2 touchdowns, who knows what kind of game it would have been. But it was a very fun game. St. James did not play bad. Obviously, they just came up 1 play short of winning that game. St. James has had a great season with some tough circumstances, with losing their assistant coach before the season. So, that these guys are going to play for him, and they played really hard. They really left it out there on the field. So it was a great football game. You hate to have a loser in this game. That's what happened.
I mean, they're 2 really great teams. I don't think St. James really just came up short. I think Union Parish just played a better game near the end. And
they one play more.
And then Brady Williams, the quarterback for St. James, he was 9 for 14, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he had those 2 interceptions, but he also had 95 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So he
does a great job of extending plays. When it feels like the play is broken down, he somehow escapes and makes plays. And Kobe Brown had himself show why he's one of the best receivers.
5 catches for 111 yards and the 73-yard touchdown that was originally a pass in the flats and he just took off. So a great performance by him as well. And
Union Parish's quarterback, we talk about Island, but Jordan Hill, I mean, he had the 2 long touchdown runs to really set the tone.
Right, and then also he had 3 touchdowns for him, and then he also had that pick, which is a huge momentum shift for their team, and he's going to be back next year. So
they scored right before halftime. It was a 14-point swing.
Right, exactly.
Right before halftime.
Right, exactly. And also Union Parish rushed for 329 yards, and the Jordan Hill was 78 for 78 yards. He had no touchdowns and interception, but he made up for it through his running and his defense as well.
Major shout out, congrats, well deserving, and couldn't be more happier for Coach Spafford to finally get that monkey off his back.
Yeah, in case I didn't mention this earlier, Jordan Hill was the most outstanding player for Union.
Yeah, he was, and he deserved it. Even though Jamar and Island, you could have made a case for him scoring the game-winning 2-point conversion, but Jordan Hill was the reason they got in that situation.
Exactly. And moving on to our last game, this was kind of the most disappointing result of the weekend. I mean, we kind of expected Oak Grove to blow at Haynesville because that's why it was in the regular season, and you just knew that Oak Grove was just the better team coming in as they went to Kentwood and destroyed them 49-28. But this game was a little bit different. I thought it was going to be a closer game. I thought it was gonna be around like 21-17. I thought Catholic was gonna win, but 55-31 was not on my bingo card at all. I don't think on anyone's bingo card.
No, certainly not mine.
The only people probably thought that were maybe Catholic, but like even Catholics probably like shocked by the result too.
Oh yeah,
because Acadianas are one of the best defensive fronts in the state, and we even mentioned that a huge storyline coming to the game was how was Catholic's offensive front going to deal with Acadiana's like awesome defensive line led by Dominic McKinley and Valen Charles and Darius McKinley, Dom's little brother. Yeah,
right, yeah, and everything was kind of par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Heading to that last game, and then I was like, let's throw it all out the window.
Right.
But 8 touchdowns and 10 drives, and you can really say the other 2 drives, one was to end the game, right, and the other one was a turnover on down. So Catholic, they just weren't stopped the entire night. They could do whatever they want. Daniel Beal played one of his most efficient games he's ever played.
My best game ever. I think that's the best game I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, he was in total control of the night. He showed why he's committed to the Raging Cage.
Demon time.
And he was nearly falls 5 touchdowns. And when they were able to run the football, Barry Remo had 3 rushing touchdowns too. Really set the tone early in the game, running the football. I believe Cohen LeBlanc had a couple of touchdown catches. Brooks Wright. I mean, you have Daniel Beal, and then probably the number 2 reason why they're here in this game right now is Brooks Wright. What a playoff run he's had. He's going to play for the Raging Cajuns for baseball. But he scored 2 touchdowns tonight. Everything that they couldn't do, I mean, everything worked. And then it was a weird game for Acadiana because they ran for 400 yards and had a 9-minute drive and yet lost by 24. And Coach McCullough said it was a weird game. But unfortunately, the defense, they just couldn't slow down this red hot Catholic offense.
But that just shows you how good Catholic was. Well, not good. Excellent Catholic was tonight.
Near flawless, really.
When you see Acadia runs for over 400 yards and scores 31 points, you would think Acadia would have won. No, Catholic just played a lot better the game than they did, and I think even Acadiana may have had more total yards today. I don't even know, but I mean,
I know Catholic had over 500.
So probably about like 50 more yards, but like
it was. I mean, statistically, it was pretty even. Which is very weird to see. But Acadiana was able to run the football. I mean, 3 different guys had rushing touchdowns. Jonah Ghey had pretty much 200 yards rushing. So it was weird.
So I mean, I remember when I was walking the press conference and they started giving out the stat lines. I'm like, and then I remember reading like, no, I can't be right. Acadiana ran for 4 because they didn't look like it. It did not look like it. I was like, I remember I stopped recording the highlights because I'm like, well, this game's over. There's our 5 minutes of highlights right there, Andy.
There were some long runs. So I knew there were some long runs in the game, but did not think 400 yards was attainable. But I don't know what it is about our Catholic High head coaches in their first year, because Ghey Fertitta has done that. He's won in his first year. David Semino, he's won in his first year, and now Hudson Ford in his first year, and he's won it. So.
And I think he's going to stay there a little bit longer than the first 2 you mentioned.
I mean, he just needs to set a couple more years.
Unless Brewerton decides to ride off the sunset, and then Zach just gives him gives Coach Hudson a huge payday, which is possible. I mean, that's how it is. But
I knew when they hired Coach Ford. I mean, he is a excellent offensive mastermind, and having him there, and it showed up on the Superdome for here tonight.
And I think he's a huge reason of why Daniel Beals looked like a much better quarterback this year. He was always a D1 prospect. He's a Yale commit. He was a Yale commit before Hudson even arrived. But you could kind of tell that you could kind of see where Daniel's just started becoming a whole different quarterback. I mean, the man was running for 60-yard touchdowns all of a sudden. We never really saw that from Daniel.
It was that Zachary game. Winning that Zachary game really set the tone, and really we saw a different quarterback in Daniel Beal. And he showed in that final stretch why everybody was so excited about him in his freshman year, what he could become. And he showed it in this playoff run as a senior.
But Daniel Beal, he completed 19 of 26 of his passes 360 yards and 4 touchdowns. Probably by far his best game I've seen him play.
Yeah.
And they also had a rushing touchdown as well, a 5-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Barry Remo had 18 carries for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Catholics had 4 receivers have at least 70 yards of receiving, which
And
is
it
pretty
was
incredible.
even crazy is that Amari Clayton didn't have a catch.
Yeah.
And Amari Clayton's one of their top receivers.
Exactly,
so,
right.
I mean, it shows you that everything was going right for the Catholic High Bears. And man, like, as far as an award for most improved team over a course of a year, because I saw him, this will be the 3rd time I've seen him, 4th time. And,
Yeah, it is. I think it's. Yeah,
It
it's been the 4th time I've seen him.
Yeah.
It's been the 4th time we've both seen him, actually. Yeah.
And that first half, they did not look anything like this team we saw in the Superdome.
Oh,
tonight,
yeah.
So.
I was there for the Warren Easton Catholic game. That was the first time I've ever seen Catholic just, like, look like they don't even belong on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I mean, which is hard for me to say, because usually when Catholic loses, it's like, okay, they lose like the last second or in a close game, something along those lines, or they win in some crazy way, which are called that Catholic voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
They didn't need it tonight.
right? And really, here's the thing: they started off the season 1-3 because remember that Warren Easton loss was awarded as a win because Warren Easton had their off the field issues with the LHSAA violations. Recruiting and stuff like that, but on the field they're 1-3, and they really and that's a huge shout out to Hudson, Coach Hudson Fuller, because for a young coach like himself, to when you start the season off like you did, and to
Your
completely
first year.
in your first year with one of the biggest programs not only in the state but in the country, you can make a case for it. With all the expectations coming this year, because this actually may be the most talented team Catholics ever fielded.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a huge case for it. And, you know, we start off the season 1-3, and then by district play, things start getting a little better, kind of eke out a win against Central, and then that Zachary game happens, and they look like a much better team. They look like probably the best team in the state right now. And that says a lot about what Coach Fuller and this staff has done. I mean, what an awesome job they've done, and congratulations to the Catholic Bears. They deserve it, and it's a great way for Daniel Beal and some of the seniors to end their careers. Because remember, Daniel.
He won 3 championships.
So Daniel Beal has won more state championships than Catholic did before he got there. Because remember, they won 2.
And yet he's only
won
played
5 total, and he's won 3 of those.
And yet he's only played 1 time in the dome. So try to wrap your mind around that.
And, you know, I actually asked him about that in the press conference, and it was a pretty incredible.
Yeah, he was trying to. I asked him that after the semifinal win, and he was still trying to process like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm going to the dome. I've never been there. So.
Right, and it came from Catholic high football ball boy to 3-time state champion for.
And
Catholic
you have
Bears.
to say it, most prolific quarterback in Catholic high history.
Yeah,
Get 3 state championships
without a doubt.
in 4 years.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so
Daniel Demon Time Beal rides off the sunset. But anyway, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow with we'll have a recap of all the games tomorrow, which will be whoo. But anyway, Grant Chachere, Jace, LeJeune, Grow Up Football. We'll see you tomorrow. This is not protect the boot, but if I did say, remember, protect the boot.
And one more thing, Graham.
And home sweet dome.
And one more thing, Grant, make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. We got plenty of highlights, game recaps. You can check all that out. We have everything at one place, so it's easy for y'all. Make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. If you want to go back and check out all our content we made during the weekend, the 3-day weekend.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of great content. Got some pictures on there as well. Highlights. We also have our live tour updates in case you may have missed it during the game or you're doing something else. Or you're like Andy, you probably have to go back and babysit Sam. But you know.
That's a football game in itself, right?
Going back to this is our second goodbye, I guess. Grant Chachere, Jace LeJeune of Ground Football. We'll see you guys tomorrow.